So without further ado, let us say hello to the one and only Robert Whitaker. There he is. Robert, how are you, my friend?
Okay. Good, thank you, mate. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Yes, a pleasure to have you on, and always appreciate you doing it very early. Now, I have to be honest, Robert. I had reached out to you last week. You weren't really feeling well, so we postponed it. All good, but I couldn't have scripted anything better than this because you were supposed to come on last week before anything. Then last night, I don't know if you did this to help me out and our views and whatnot, but you put out that tweet about Skinny Rob, and everyone's hitting me up. Is Rob making an announcement? What is he coming on to talk about? It's like, I didn't plan this. I asked him to come on last week. I didn't plan, but I appreciate it. So thank you for doing that. I really do appreciate you helping up the profile of this interview.
Mate, it had unexpected attention and unintentional attention because it just got out of control. Like, I consider like Camp Rob, so Rob that's in camp, Rob that's not happily eating his way to sleep every night, as Skinny Rob.
Yes.
That's why in a lot of my posts previously I've said things like, okay, Skinny Rob's on the shelf now for a while, et cetera, et cetera. But everyone was just like, he's going back to 170. Look at how skinny he is already.
So I predicted this. Someone asked me earlier, what do you think of Rob and his announcement of going to 170? And I said, guys, my interpretation of that post is he might have a fight coming up. So he was just on vacation. He took some time off, meaning he's going to have to diet down a little bit. He's going back to 85, maybe sooner than we expected. Why in the world would he go to 170? He is incredible at 85. He just fought for the belt. Other than Izzy, undefeated at 85. So can you confirm right now that you were referring to 85 and not 70?
Yeah, I'm 100% was referring to 85.
Okay.
Because people, what I think the biggest thing is people don't realize how heavy I walk around. So I walk around 215, 220. Like,
wow.
That's just my living weight.
215, 220. You go, and were you doing that at 170 as well?
Nah, no, it wasn't like that at 170. So, but I was also much younger. This was almost like 10 years ago.
Okay, yeah, that is true. Okay, so why did you tweet that?
Because there might be something in the works. You might have a name picked out. You might have a location picked out, and
wow,
I'm turning it around sooner than I normally do. I'm just jumping straight back in there. So,
was that part of the plan?
It wasn't part of the plan, but I was offered an opportunity and presented with it. And honestly, I don't have any injuries from last fight. There's a lot of things. It just the date suits up. There's a lot of things that I had planned for after the date, and I wanted to get 3 fights in this year. So hitting a potential fight in June is it's a good date for me.
Now, when you say soon, how soon are we talking? We're talking June here. We're talking that maybe.
Yeah, June.
Okay.
June.
Okay. So what is that?
That sounds like soon. I'm not confirming June, but
sure. No, that was me. Like I said, and I'm the one saying this. Maybe like in a place like Singapore, perhaps.
I don't know. I'd have to go have a look at the cards and see what's floating around there. But I'm not against fighting so close to home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a shorter flight for you, right?
Definitely, and that may have played into a factor if it was presented to me as to why I'm doing it. I think it's only a 6-hour flight.
Oh my gosh! What a pleasure, as opposed to going all the way to Las Vegas or Houston or whatever. Now, I had seen in some other interviews that you had done post Izzy fight that it seemed like you were interested in Marvin Vettori as your next opponent. Is that an accurate statement?
Well, if we're just breaking it down, if we're just spitballing here,
yeah.
In the top 5, there's only one guy I haven't fought yet, right? So and then his name's the only one to pull out of the hat. So wait and see.
So would it be fair to hypothesize that a potential fight against Marvin Vettori is your next fight in June? Is that a fair hypothesis? Just a hypothesis. If I'm to read the tea leaves.
It is hard to say. If you want to guess and spitball, be my guess.
Okay.
But
you can't confirm my guesses.
I can't confirm nor deny.
How close to official is this? Is this a done deal?
The talks are pretty confirmed at this point.
Nice.
It's more about just the fine lines.
Now, again, hypothetically, a fight against a guy who you haven't fought, like Marvin Vettori, does this interest you? Are you interested in a fight like this? Or is it just because I haven't fought this guy and everyone else I've fought, so just the new challenge is what interests me?
No, definitely. All new challenges interest me. There's never been a particular fight that I'm like, man, I want that fight because that fight interests me. I've never really been like that. It's just more of having fought him before, and like because of, like my last fight was easy, so it was preparing for a rematch. Rematches suck, and preparing for rematches suck, especially when you lost the first one. So, yeah, the amount of work and the thought processes that go through the camp and everything like that. It's a bit trying. So to break away from a rematch and to fight a new phase, some new blood, it's it's interesting.
So just curious, could you expand on that? Like, why does it suck to? Because I would imagine some people would love the idea of righting the wrong of the first fight. Why does it suck?
Well, I guess it's because I lost the first one, and in the fashion that I lost the first one, it just presents you with so many what ifs and self-doubt. And it's not like I struggle with confidence or I was battling doubt the entire camp. That's not what happened. But it's more like an insidious, just a tiny what if, or got to be careful about this, or visualizing his reach a foot longer than it really is because, you know what I mean? It's just little things. But those little things over the course of, how long was the prep? 5 months, honestly, because the fight kept getting pushed back. So over the course of 5 months, 6 months or whatever it was, it just annoys you. Like it drains you. It's heavy. And, leaving the fight and having a new face is, I don't know, refreshing. Fighting is refreshing.
I like that. I like that very much. You don't hear a lot of people say that. Have you watched the fight again?
I have not. I'm sorry.
Okay. No. Is there a reason for that, or is that common for you?
I just haven't had time,
Right. You lived it.
Busy man, things to do, places to be.
Yes. Based on your memory, it feels to me, correct me if I'm wrong, like the way you've handled this, even though it was a title fight and, a rivalry, whatever, you've handled this fight and the result of the fight very, very well. Like you're not shying away from it. You're doing media. You're talking about it. You're not like disappearing from social media. People deal with these, potentially career-altering losses in different ways. But it seems like you're at peace with the result. You're at peace with the fight. In fact, I've read that you say like you're actually like you left the fight feeling excited and looking forward to the future because you feel like you've grown so much. How is that possible?
Oh well, there's two options I could have gone with. There's either be butthurt and then whinge and moan about how I didn't get the nod that I thought I deserved, or just be happy for what I took from the fight and what I gathered and how much I've gained from that fight and from the prep and from the fights leading up to there, and how different the second fight was to the first, and the unlimited. Like I left that fight realizing that there's no ceiling. I don't have a ceiling. I'm only getting better every fight. You can see that I'm only getting better, and that excites me. Because I'm young enough to still make changes, to develop, to get better, to go into fights, and eventually we'll come across paths again. I mentioned before, like it is, I believe, inevitable, and I'll make sure not to leave it so close.
Will you be disappointed if you don't get a third crack at him before it's all said and done?
Now, it depends how it happens. So if, say, for whatever, he leaves the division or he retires before I've worked my way back up there, then I'll be upset. But if I'm just beating up everybody in the division and there's no one left, and I'm still not given that shot, then yes, I'll be upset. But I don't see that happening.
Oh.
People, I think everybody likes the fight between me and Izzy. It's such a technical and aggressive fight.
I think you believe you won that fight, right?
Yeah. It's not that I believe that I won the fight. It's just I believe that I did enough. I believe that if he wasn't a champion, I win that fight more often than not. Okay, but I do understand that it's a championship fight. Close fights at a championship level generally go to the champ, and it is what it is. It is what it is.
But that's actually wrong, right? Like a judge should not score a round based on who the champion is.
Mate, if I agree and understand, but if that's how the world worked, then
yeah, Do you think that happens?
Much easier place, wouldn't it?
Do you think that happens? Like, do you think that they actually, if it's a close round, they'll be like, it was close, let me give it to the champ? Do you think that actually goes into the thought process?
Mate, are you asking me what the thought process goes on with the judges?
Well, do you believe that? Because when I hear people say,
honestly,
to be the champ, you got to beat the champ. I'm like, no, you just have to win 3 out of 5 rounds. That's it.
And I believe I did that. I do. And I guess trying to guess what the judges are thinking or anyone around the environment is beyond me, because it's honestly, it's a rabbit hole you don't want to fall down, especially when you're on the unfair end.
Okay, so let me throw this one at you. I've been on this crusade as of late. I want to see open scoring in MMA. I want open score. I want to know where you stand going into the 5th round. How do you feel about this idea?
Yeah, 100%. Why not? I don't know why it's hidden to begin with.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I mean, I just had Bisping on. He agreed. Last week, I had Tyson Fury on. I know it's a different sport, but it's pretty much the same thing. It's just more rounds. He agreed. Eddie Hearn agreed. Canelo agreed. I don't understand why you guys, with so much money at stake, with your futures at stake, all that stuff, you should know going into the 5th round where you stand. The same way a tennis player knows where they stand, a soccer player, you know what I mean?
Exactly, because it literally dictates how I'm conducting myself in the octagon. Like I was in 3, 4, and 5. I was confident that I was winning the rounds, that I was winning the fight. There wasn't a need to go out there and start swinging crazy things or try to force positions, because trying to force things with Israel is hard as hell anyway. That's when it gets dangerous. But I didn't feel the need to do that because I was quite confident that I was ahead on the scoring card. So I believe in open. I don't know why they're hidden to begin with.
It makes no sense, and I don't see a push. Kansas is the only commission here in the United States that does it. In fact, there's a card tonight in Victa where they will do it. But I would really love to know. And the dissenters say, if you're up, more than 2 rounds going into or 2 rounds or more going into the 5th, the guy who's up will coast. But I don't buy that. And guess what? You've watched sports where a team is up big. They're not just they have to play the game, right? You got to play. You got to fight. I think it's crazy, and I would love to see this happen. And I would, you would know better than anyone. You're going to fight. You're thinking you win, but you're not actually winning on the scorecards. You probably do a few things differently in that 5th round.
Well, and it's exactly that. And the dissenters say, if you're winning and you're up 2 rounds and in a 3-round fight and he's going to coast, it's like, have you ever been in a fight and tried coasting, mate?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You'll get caught.
You can't just sit down and chill, especially when your mate across from you knows he's losing. It gets so much worse. It's like when you're in a fight and the guy across from you knows he's losing, and then you hear the clappers for the 10 seconds, you go bap, 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 and he's going to go mental. That's it. He's going out there for blood. That is the most dangerous 10 seconds of the fight. And same thing.
Looking back, is there anything you wish you would have done differently? I know you say that you think you won. I totally respect that. But are there things that you wish in hindsight, in retrospect, that you could have done, would have done in order to ensure the victory?
Hindsight's a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah.
So I try not to play with it too much because it just makes you regret and hate things. But I guess if I could take the realization and the confidence that I gathered in round 2 and give it to myself in round 1, that would lead to a very different fight.
Interesting.
A very different fight. Because round 1 was Izzy's best round because I just wasn't. I don't want to say not confident, because I'm very confident. It's just that I didn't have undoubted belief in what I was doing. I still had lingering feelings from that first fight. And then I shook those off in round 2. and the rest is history. You know, I was able to execute the game plan and find everything so easy and flowing and so effective. And so that's about the only thing, you know, and that's probably a reason why I don't look at my fights too much, because I could nitpick technical details all day, all night, like 100 million things. Instead, what I'll do is I'll take the feeling away, how I felt in there, what I need to adjust on a larger scale, and let my coaches nitpick the technical details, and then they can pass it on during the next camp.
So that's a really interesting thing, because obviously you were very open about like how you felt about the first fight and your mental state in that first fight. Did you feel that week, like was that doubt starting to creep in fight week once you were back, press conference, face-offs? Like were you starting to feel like you were back in that spot from a couple of years ago?
Nah, definitely not. And you can see during fight week, I'm very comfortable.
Yeah.
And at the press conference, I'm very comfortable. A very different feeling, you know. I had thoughts leading into the week that, oh man, I hope this doesn't go south, because it just makes it more draining than it needs to be. But I was ready. I was ready. This is my first rodeo by a long shot. But you know what it is? It's like in the fight itself, in the years that since I fought him and the way that he beat me in the first fight, it just made him seem so much bigger than he was. So much better than he was. Like in my own head, that is. You know, not, and now don't capture this. Bob thinks Izzy's not good.
No,
he's a great fighter, phenomenal fighter. And that was a tough to-the-nails fight. You could see how serious he was taking it. The thing is, it made him seem unhittable. Like in my own head, he seemed unhittable. Like I couldn't get in, I couldn't hit him. His reach was crazy. But in reality, it was nothing like that. I was landing my hands on him every time we exchanged. You know, it's I wasn't getting touched in the trades too much. It was reality. It was very different. You know, the mind's a funny thing.
Do you think he respects you now as a fighter?
Yeah, definitely, and I think he's actually said that. And I respected him beforehand as a fighter. He's a phenomenal fighter. And you got to, I think, at this level, especially once we let go of all the personal bad blood. I don't even know how that started, but the bad blood go. You just realize we're just two guys at the highest level doing our thing.
Does it bother you that there's bad blood there? Because, you know, the situation between you guys reminds me a little bit of Tyron Woodley and Wonderboy Thompson back in the day, where everyone was like, you know, Woodley was so mad at Thompson and there was such animosity, and everyone was like, Thompson's like the nicest guy. How could you be mad at that guy? He's like one of the nicest people on the planet, and no one really got it. And I feel like we say the same thing about you, and it's like, well, what's the beef here? You know, like why does he dislike you so much, or why does he not feel like you're the guy that everyone says that you are? Does it bother you that you have that relationship with him?
Nah, I think it's over now. But definitely, I think personality-wise, we don't get along very much. But you don't need to get along with everyone.
That is true. No, I mean, it makes for bigger fights. But you probably, I mean, if it was up to you, there would be less animosity. Is that accurate?
Yeah, like, to be fair, there's as much as last fight. There wasn't. That was cool. Yeah, you know, the whole thing is not even about animosity. I don't mind building up fights. I don't mind trash talking and all that. The thing is, like, I just want to be left alone. I like being left alone. and like when they start doing all this stuff, it forces me to have to do more things or do this or address these questions or address. And I don't want to do more. I just want to, like, leave me alone.
Yes. You just want to train, prepare for the fight. Unfortunately, this is a part of the game, selling the fight, all that stuff. You shared a great clip when you came home. Your kids were waiting for you in the trunk. Did you know that was going to happen?
No, I didn't know.
I
didn't know they were there. So,
that is amazing. Yeah. Now, how long were they waiting for you there?
About 3 days. So it was lucky my flight didn't get delayed. You know what I mean?
That's right. But can you even put that into words, what that feeling is like? The trunk opens and your your kids are just waiting there for you.
Yeah, and they're at an age now, because you know how when your kids are young, they don't care where you're going.
Sure.
Like, and when you get back, they don't realize you're back. They didn't realize you left.
Yeah.
My kids are at an age now where they miss me. So when I'm Skyping them when I'm away, they're sad I'm not there. So to be able to see them like that, it's literally the best feeling in the world. Like they're my driving force, and to have them pick me up from the airport, it makes me feel like a warrior coming back from from duty, like from work. It's it's touching, mate.
Will you ever be one of those guys who brings your kids into the cage? We've seen this before, or do you like the separation of them not being there?
Yeah, I like the separation. I'd love for them to be a part of it, but the problem is I can't allow too many distractions in there, because I can't take away the focus from. Well, I've thought about taking my kids overseas for the next fight, or so just so they're a part of it, so I'm not away for the whole time.
Right.
So my wife can be a part of it again, but it's just too much. It's too much. I can't be thinking about my family when I'm about to go fight someone to the death.
Right. It's hard. It's hard to keep the two lives separate. Your oldest is how old?
7.
So
no, 6. 6 turning 7.
Okay, so still young, but like they sort of are starting to understand what you do, right?
Yeah, and like my 2 boys, they're always like, "Daddy, you're so strong."
Yeah,
so strong.
That is amazing. You're actually looking very thin right now. How much you weigh right now, if you don't mind me asking?
Mate, I'm only about 205.
Wow.
That's a crazy thing. It's only been about 3 weeks since the last dig, and had massive flooding here.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah.
Big flooding in the area. So all the takeout delivery is closed.
Oh, no. You have to eat at home.
So, mate, I just been eating whatever I've got in the cupboards, and it's keeping me trim.
Everything okay, though? Like house, gym, everything okay?
Yeah, fortunately, we got minor flooding. There's a lot of my heart bleeds for everybody else that's sitting on their roof. The flooding is getting pretty crazy out this way, but I don't know. I hope it's turned a corner. It hasn't been raining today, so.
There was some talk after the fight. Rob goes to 205 now. You should go to 205. Is this something that you have considered?
Yeah, when I've been speaking, I've considered it, because going up is definitely the option, not going down. And I've considered it, but the only thing is, though, like I just feel like I'm so good at middleweight.
Yeah.
I've got the cut well down. My strength versus cardio versus speed is just on point. I feel like I lose some of that if I move up to 205. So it might be, I don't know. Well, I think I'm going to try and just work my way up to a title shot here one more time, and then play with the idea afterwards.
I feel like the beauty of the situation and the way that you're able to handle, moments like this is ultimately, and again, if I'm wrong, please let me know. I feel like you don't care, and I hope you understand what I'm talking about here, about being a champion. Like, the belt doesn't define you. It doesn't dictate your happiness or not. You don't, like, if you're a champion, you're not champion, you're still very content in life. And so that allows you to deal with moments like this with a smile, get back on the horse, not lick your wounds, not feel bad for yourself, not go into, because you don't obsess over the belt, obsess over being champion. You don't particularly love the attention that comes with being a champion. Is that fair?
No, you're exactly on the money, mate. Exactly. The only reason why I wanted to take his spot, because you get a bigger payday. That's about it. You get the bigger check. So honestly, that's the only benefit that I was thinking of.
And that comes back to the family, right? Like, you want to make more money to give more money to your family.
Exactly. More money equals a better lifestyle for my family and things I can do.
When you found out that he scored this big contract the week of the fight, what was your reaction?
I actually didn't find out until I only found out day before or something like that. And I don't know. My initial reaction was like, "Oh man," you know what I mean? Like that instant hit of like, "I want that." But then I realized, no, that would be a spiteful little grub.
Right.
And then I let it go. You know what I mean? Because that sort of thinking, that train, that instant reaction like that'll that's insidious. That'll decay your soul. So no, I'm cool. Like, good on him. Making as much money as he can in a game it's so hard to make money in. So,
How many do you have left on your deal? How many fights left?
I think 2 or 3, maybe.
Okay. All right. So you win these next 2 fights and you get a big contract.
Yeah, well, that's the dream, and that's hoping, mate.
Before I let you go, in conclusion, I read this quote. You said this to CBS Sports, a great young writer, interviewer named Shaquille Majuri. This quote really stuck with me. I don't know if you know what I'm going to say here, if you remember it, but you said this, which I thought was just a really profound thing to say. Before I had kids, this is what you said. Fighting for me started as an identity pursuit. I wanted to be a fighter. I wanted to be that guy. I grew up poor. It was either being a poor guy or being a fighter. It was much easier to dive into that persona, not to mention I always enjoyed combat. I was able to make a living off of it, so it kind of became both an identity and making ends meet. Then I had kids, and my world shifted. I got married, and again, my world shifted. It was about providing for them, and that has been the ultimate drive for me, for everything that I do in life. I love that quote because, I think when you start off, it's like an ego thing, the fighter, and you're getting all this attention, all that stuff. And now, just here, you just admitted it before I even read the quote. Ultimately, you didn't want the belt because of the fame, the glory. You just wanted the belt or to beat him because you wanted the bigger contract so that you could go back to providing for your family in the best way possible. That's an amazing thing. Did that only come when you became a dad? Did that shift only happen when you became a father?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure there are people that have had shifts like that due to other reasons. But for me, that was the driving force. Everyone always says, and it's the most cliche thing in the world, wait till you have kids, wait till you have kids. It's true. It's true. It's like, well, as soon as you have them, your world shifts, your life changes. And I don't know, I became a fighter fighting for something. I became a warrior that fights for something. And, it just made me so much better. It gave me a wholesomeness to my activities, to my training, to my pursuits. And for me, that just resonated well, and it led me to where I am today.
How long do you want to do this for?
I've soft capped it at 35, 36.
Okay.
So, but if the health is great and I'm doing well still, then we'll play it by ear past then. But I think 35 for me is a good time to kick the boots off.
So about 4 more years.
Yeah, I reckon 4 more years. And these are a good 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm going through that. I'm going through my prime now. So it's a good 4 years. I can make some money, have some good fights, just really, really cement down my legacy of who I am, and then see what the future holds afterwards.
And so perhaps maybe hypothetically, maybe we see you in June in a lovely place called Singapore against, just throwing out we've never seen you fight an Italian fighter, so maybe that could be fun.
I do like Italian food.
Okay.
Never been to Singapore.
Oh.
And the month of June sounds pretty good. You know what I mean? I like that month.
We just checked off 3 boxes right there. Perfect. This has been great. Thank you for that tweet to draw interest in this, even though I had a feeling everyone was wrong and misread it. Thank you for clearing that up. Some potentially exciting news there. So congrats on that. Good luck in a potential training camp that may have to start relatively soon. And thanks, as always, for coming on and talking about the good moments, the bad moments. I appreciate it very much, especially so early in the morning, Rob. Thank you.
Nah, thanks for having me on. It's always good to talk to you, mate.
Cheers. Thank you so much. The best to the family and, of course, everyone in Australia dealing with the flooding. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. All right, there he is, Robert Whitaker, joining us. Potential fight against, if I were to read the tea leaves, I would say Mr. Marvin Vettori in June. He never actually said it, so no one get all crazy.